Accessories are a game changer in Palworld 1.0. They give you cumulative bonuses that look something like this, and you don't even have to wait until the late game to get them. In fact, almost all the top picks in this video can be built between level 30 to 50, but I'm actually going to show you how to find every single one of the accessories added with 1.0. So don't forget to hit that sub button if you enjoyed this video, and let's dive right in. That being said, you're going to have all of these locations in a map neatly placed down below in the comments. You can follow the links, and pretty much every single accessory schematic is going to be placed on the map for you to follow. However, that's going to contain every single schematic in the game, and in this video we're going to focus on the most important from early to mid game, which will also boost you in the late game. So that's why you have both the links as well as my own list, which is going to start with the growth acceleration bell. I recommend getting this right out of the gate from early on, as it improves your Pal XP increase by 50%. So you can pretty much find it on the side of the map. It's pretty much on the western side of the Mount Floopy summit. If you head over to this location, like in the case of every other schematic, we're going to find them inside of these artifact towers. I'm going to call them hacking towers from this point on, as many of them do involve a minigame around that. However, once you do get these schematics, you're going to notice that they are quite cheap to build. Quite a lot of them use very early on materials. Even this one only has ingots, palladium, mysterious mushrooms, and the ancient civilization parts. So the only one that's more difficult to get here is the mysterious mushroom. So for that, you're going to find it in the southern part right here in the Sakurajima Island. If you head over to this side, you can either take down the blue mushrooms, which gives that outright, or you can take down Shroomer Nocts, which also have a chance to drop mysterious shrooms. Whichever route you pick, once you're back and grab this, you're going to get that 50% to your Pal XP. And just to show you that the buff indeed works, taking down this boss with a bunch of level 1s in my party gave them 136,000 XP. Which, if we were to defeat the same boss with another batch of level 1s, but with the bell on, now jumps to 200,000 plus, which obviously, falls within that 50% bonus. Moving on to number 2, some of you may remember this item called Multiclimate Undershirt. It was pretty awesome and giving you max resistance to both heat and cold at the same time. However, with 1.0, there are much better and improved replacements, which is why we're kinda going to skip that item for a little bit and instead aim directly for the Vanguard charm, or at the very least the Wandering Merchant charm. As you can see, both of them provide the same heat and cold resistance, but on top of that they also have an additional passive. In the case of the Vanguard charm, a health up level 4, which translates to about 20% extra HP, and then there's also the Wandering Merchant version, which instead provides max carry capacity level 4, basically plus 300 to your carry capacity. Now the good news is that both of them are rather inexpensive to craft, even if you're just level 30 to 40. The bad news is that both of them are going to be located in the Faybreak Island, but one of them comes in sooner, so let's begin with the Vanguard charm, because its schematic can be found right here exactly at these coordinates, which you can see on the screen, -816 and -847. You can go ahead and just hack the tower and then grab it from inside. On the other hand, if you want the second one as well, or maybe get some extra carry capacity, you can also head over to this new set of coordinates a bit further down south, -784 and -1221. If we bring them back at our workshop, you can see that both of them have exactly the same cost, which is again quite inexpensive. The only item that's kind of level gated here is the polymer, which you unlock the recipe for at level 33. Everything else drops from pals, and then there's also the ancient bones, so I'm going to show you where to find them. Ancient bones, like many of the other ancient items, can be found in wildlife sanctuaries, and specifically in the case of the bones, you will find them at the wildlife sanctuary number 3. So head over to this side of the map and you should look around for any of these skeletons lingering about. Go ahead, mine them with any of your axes or the multi-cutter, and that should give you plenty enough for one single craft. Back at the base, we can apply it, and as you can see, we are getting that really nice bonus. So both the resistances for cold and heat, as well as in the case of the Vanguard charm, which is my favorite one, plus 20% to HP. That is actually quite significant. Now, if for some reason you can't get to Faebreak just yet, but still want to have max resistances to cold and heat, then head over to the desert region to the coordinates 602-308. If you pick up the tower right here, you can then get the schematics for the Multiclimate Undershirt. It's no longer going to use any of those ancient bones, but still uses polymers, so technically you still need to be level 33 plus to get this, which is why we kinda skipped it and went directly for the upgraded versions. Which brings us to the next batch of items. These are going to be all about damage, defenses, and improving your pals. Among all of these four right here, you can boost the stats of any pal by up to 60% extra elemental damage, plus 32% to its attack, 40% to its defenses, and get any extra resistance defense on top to plus 35%. And that's because with update 1.0, we have at least 4 new types of items that stack insane amounts of damage to our pals. So every single type of elemental will have different types of batons, rings, whistles, and finally also talismans. And just to show you an example, the baton, the ring, as well as the talisman each provide a pal elemental damage enhancement of level 4, which basically gives on its own plus 20% to that elemental damage. So if you go with 3 of them, that's a total of plus 60% to that specific elemental. For the other 3 stats on them, in the case of the pal attack up level 4, that's the equivalent of 16% extra attack power for that pal. In the case of the talisman, defense up level 4, that's a 20% to the defense. And finally, for the rings, elemental damage reduction level 4, that's going to be a plus 35% reduction of that specific element. So while you're going to have all of the elements present pretty much on the map I linked at the beginning of the video, I am going to start with the first one that's accessible, and that's going to be fire. Beginning with the Blazehowl ring, which gives you 20% to the fire damage enhancement and 35% to grass damage reduction. To find its schematic, you need to head over to the Flame Pulse Island. On this side of the map, specifically, these are the coordinates you see right now on the screen, 752 and 430. Grab it and you can then go ahead and craft it. This is the requirement for it. The ring is quite inexpensive. Just refined ingot, palladium, flame organ, and ancient civilization parts. So I already have those, craft them, and that's already a pretty big boost. If you can't go to Faebreak just yet, we do have 2 whistle replacements in the Mount Obsidian, pretty much on this side of the map. So the first one is going to be in the Scorching Mine Shaft. The entrance, by the way, will be right here at minus 433 and minus 521. Go inside, destroy the rocks, and grab the fire support whistle schematic from inside. For the attack support version that just boosts attack, you're going to find it right here at a similar artifact tower, very close to the watchtower, a little bit further away. Again, grab it and it should be easy to craft. As you can see, both of them are quite inexpensive, just ingots, horns, sulfur, and ancient civilization parts. In the case of the attack support whistle, this is going to boost your pal's attack power by 12%. Meanwhile, in the case of the fire support version, it's going to give you an 18% bonus to fire elemental damage for the same pal, and yes, they do absolutely stack with one another. Now, for the baton and the ring, you're going to need to head over to the Faebreak Island. One of them is going to be right here in the western side of it at minus 1315 and minus 1083. If you go here and simply, just destroy the enemy. The cost, as you can see, again, not that big, just refine the ingots and the civilization cores, so you should be able to get this before level 50. It's just that the trip over there is more complex. And yes, if you were wondering, they do stack with one another. That's why, for example, we're seeing 28% to this spell's extra attack power. It's because the 12% from the support whistle and the 16% from the baton, do apply both at the same time. Eventually, you can replace any of the whistles with the Blazehowl Talisman. It's going to have exactly the same cost as the baton, so in reality, it's just the trip to the Faebreak Island that's most challenging. And specifically, you're going to find the cave location to minus 1209 and minus 1326 right here in the Faebreak Island. And that's basically how you're going to reach the bonuses I was mentioning earlier. Now, there's another big disclaimer or tip actually that I have for these accessories, and that is, yes, you can absolutely stack 2 accessories of the same type, like for example 2 rings, 2 batons, or even 2 talismans. And that is because we have a lot of pals that actually belong to 2 different types of elementals. Like for example, in the case of Xenoloord, he's a dark but also a dragon pal. meaning that any baton or ring or talisman that affects either of the two, so dark or dragon, will actually work on it. So let's say, for example, I were to add two batons to it, one divine dragon and one lord of the underworld, each providing a pal attack up level 4, so 16% to pal attack each. Yes, that will absolutely jump to 32% if you just add these two items. Similarly, if we apply, for example, two talismans that each give pal defense up level 4, yes, they will total up to 40%, each providing 20% from just those bonuses. And the same goes in the department of extra elemental damage, stacking it up to 40% between the two. Or if you have any resistances, you can definitely go with, let's just say, two rings at the same time, each providing a 35% resistance to a different type of elemental. So if we go with Elfidron ring, that means we are both covered in terms of dark damage reduction as well as neutral damage reduction if we're fighting with a lot of those spells. Now, we covered a lot of talismans, and I admittedly forgot to tell you how to unlock more slots. Well, if you already played Palworld before, you should already know that you can unlock them from any of the merchants at the churches, like for example the one in the Desolate Church. However, it seems that the mysterious accessory boxes are much cheaper than before, or at least from what I remember. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but now they only cost 50 for unlocking one slot and then 300 dog coins for unlocking the second slot. So that's going to bring you to a total of 4 accessory slots to put all of these in. Next, we're going to talk about some belts to boost our own character. Starting with the Warsect Terra belt, this is going to give us 25% to both max HP and to defenses. And you're going to find its schematic in the southern part of the Sakurajima Island at -664 and 27 on the side of the map. The enemy you have to defeat here is level 40, but then you're going to unlock the schematic, and the only thing that's more difficult to get here is the ancient lava, so let me show you how to grab that. In this case, the ancient lava can be found at the sanctuary number 2 on the side of the map, so if you head over to this location, you should spot some of these blobs that you can mine easily, either with a multi-cutter or with your axe. Bring it back at the base and craft it, and basically these are going to be the stats. As you can see, they already make a pretty big difference. We also have the Islander tool belt, which is a little bit different. It provides a 25% bonus to work speed and plus 300 to carry capacity. And you're going to find it in, the Astral Mountain, basically on the side of the map in another cave, the entrance to which will be situated at -144 and 320. Enter the cave, and at the end you can interact with the tower again, but keep in mind there's a level 35 boss you have to quickly defeat. Once you grab it, again, it's going to be quite inexpensive to craft, except this time around it's going to require some ancient bark, which, like in the case of the other ancient resources, we're going to find from the sanctuaries, specifically sanctuary number 1, very close to the starting zone. They look like this, just 3 stumps you can collect from. One of them is going to be enough to craft even 2 belts at the same time. Now, from this point on, you should also grab the Pal Tamer's glasses. This combines the Mercy Ring and the ability glasses that you can unlock by the time you hit level 34, except that this may even come in a little bit earlier if you go there directly. Specifically, it's at the foot of the Astral Mountain, coordinates 7 and 123. If you want to craft this, it's again pretty inexpensive, just the ancient bark that you need from the ancient sanctuary number 1. Technically, before we go to the last one, there's one more accessory I want to cover, and that's the Phantom Ring. This has a pretty big advantage because it increases your dodge invulnerability window by 20% just on its own, which is actually really good, assuming you can actually dodge. Still, it's going to be located on the further up north part of the map, right here also at the Astral Mountain, coordinates 106 and 478. Just go further down the cliff and you should find the tower there just sitting by. Grab it, and once again, it should be quite cheap to craft. Finally, the only other set of items remaining are these pair of Airwalker boots, Mark 1 all the way to the X version, and here's the thing about them. They actually all cost pretty much almost exactly the same resources. It's just the amount of them that changes. You can just go directly for either Mark 3, which is a little bit easier to get at the Fabric Island. It's going to be on this side of the map and only uses Hexolite. Or you can go for the X version, but for this you need to be at least level 60, I would say. You do need to go to the Sunbreach Isles pretty much on the upper north part of it, on these coordinates. There's going to be a level 60 boss defending the tower, by the way, so not many of you may go there, at least not initially. So my recommendation, if you've got a flying mount already, go to the Fabric Island, minus 1200 and minus 1528, pretty much on this side of the map. Grab the schematic, and you will need a bit more resources, but they are exactly the same resources like in the case of any of the previous tiers. However, you do get extra jumps and also an extra dash on top of everything else. If you do, however, eventually go with the X version, you're going to get an even bigger boost because now you have 2 jumps and 2 dashes. And before you were wondering, yes, that absolutely works with Valentail's passive, which reduces the gravity. So in this case, here are the results. As you can see, pretty crazy. Those double jumps let you jump pretty much over entire mountains, I would say, or at the very least, your tallest buildings. Anyway, that about concludes today's video with some of the best accessories you want to get your hands on right away. And of course, if you have any others that I didn't cover, do let me know in the comments. There are many others that provide more resistances and defenses than being more offensive. So this depends more on your build and your playstyle. But personally, I like going full-on damage. So these were the ones I preferred. In the meantime, as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next Palworld video.